Hey guys, Justin here with AmericanTrucks.com, and today we're taking a very quick look at and walking you through the install of a set of front wheel bearing and hub assemblies fitting your 2017 through 2020 four-wheel drive F-150. Now you guys should be considering this affordable set for your four-wheel drive truck if you've recently started hearing a little noise coming from the front end and are looking for a budget-friendly set of replacements as opposed to forking out big money at your local Ford dealer. So the big feature here, guys, will be the fact that you are getting not one but two hub and bearing assemblies for your F-150 for around that low to mid $300 price point. Now maybe you or your shop have determined you need a new bearing and hub assembly after hearing some noise or getting some vibration out of the front wheel or wheels, and therefore it is time to start looking for a replacement. Now these guys will be a direct swap plug and play set that will get your truck right and new, but without having to break the bank. The materials in construction will be identical to the stockers in just about every way, including both fronts fitting four-wheel drive trucks only. These guys are going to feature the wheel studs already pressed into place, along with the plug-and-play ABS wire and sensor with a factory-style connector. Hub size and bolt pattern will be the same as stock, and the assemblies do get backed by a 2-year or 24,000-mile warranty against any defects. Price point for the pair of assemblies will hover around the low to mid $300 ballpark, which honestly, guys, is roughly what my local Ford dealer charges for a single side. So if you are looking to replace both at the same time, this is certainly going to be a very budget-friendly choice. Now getting into the install here, guys, and the site is going to call this a solid 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, taking you at least 45 minutes to complete from start to finish. But now we're going to throw things to an American Trucks customer to walk you through it on his F-150. Check it out.
All right, all the tools I used was half-inch torque wrench, 3/8 torque wrench, got my half-inch breaker bar ratchet here, electric ratchet, standard ratchet works just fine. Some grease, a couple zip ties to hold the calipers up, and smaller ones for the speed sensor that we had to zip tied. 3/8 impact, my 1/4 inch impact, half-inch ratchet works just fine, and Scotch-Brite. We didn't use the Scotch-Brite when I'm using my die grinder here to clean off the face of the knuckle. A couple things here that might help out. Got a half-inch swivel, not really needed, but got 21 shallow socket, got my 21 deep socket, and I got my 22 somewhere around here. Yep. Shouldn't need a 22. The only reason I used it is for the aftermarket wheels. But if you don't have any aftermarket wheels, you shouldn't really never need a 22. Yeah, we got a deep 18 half-inch here, 13, 10, 8. Got another 13 there, and a shallow 18. I don't know if I said this or not, but this is my 18 swivel. Some cutters, cut the zip ties. Yeah, shorter flathead screwdriver, a little bit bigger there, hammer, and a trim tool, a couple flashlights, and helps out the install. Today's video, I'm going to show you how to replace both front wheel hubs on a 2018 Ford F-150. Before we actually lift the vehicle, we have to disconnect the wheel speed sensors under the hood. On the driver's side left, you'll see this connector that's right next to the air box on the firewall side. Go ahead and remove it, just any kind of small screwdriver. What you do is you'll get between this little red safety clip, and then we'll go ahead and push the tabs together. If I can get my hand in there. Use one end to push on the release tab and the other to pull. That is disconnected. We'll show you the other side real quick too. The other side on the passenger, you have that connector right there next to the fuse box. Next step, we'll go ahead and start off with removing the dust cap on the front axle nut. I got a flathead screwdriver and a hammer. And we'll try to gently pull off the dust cap without damaging it so we can reuse it. trick is to kind of walk around the dust cap, kind of keep it from getting damaged. And just kind of pry it all around a little bit, and we'll pop right out. Next, go ahead and grab our 13 millimeter socket, remove the axle nut. Next step, we'll go ahead and remove our 10 millimeter that holds the brake line, and our 8 that holds the ABS wire. That one was a 10. We'll switch to an 8. Next, we'll go ahead and separate the ABS wire from the brake hose. We'll then pull this caliper off. Caliper bolt is a 21 millimeter. I'll be using my impact and silver socket to make the job a little bit easier here. And if you can also rotate that way so you can get a little better access to the caliper bolts. Now you can remove the caliper from the bracket and remove the bracket, or you can just take it all off at once. Doesn't really matter. Before you get that caliper off, go ahead and get yourself a zip tie so we can pull this caliper off, move it out of the way. You don't want to suspend the caliper down. It might put a lot of strain on your brake line. Let's see if I can get split here. We'll do it right here on the sway bar. Once we get that out of the way, we'll go ahead and remove the ABS wire out of the way. That. Get yourself a little trim tool to remove that. Got one here. One a little bit up higher up here. Feed your wire through. Next, we'll go ahead and remove the rotor. Rotate this back. Now the rotor isn't really loose. You're gonna have to break it off. The trick is to smack between the studs on the face of the rotor so you're not damaging it, and that usually does the trick. Go, put it down facing up. Next step, we'll go ahead and remove this dust plate so we can feed our wire through. Can't really fit it through this gap the way it is, and that's going to be an 8 millimeter. It's going to be 3 of them. And hopefully you don't have that issue, because I just broke one 8 on there, but we'll figure that out later. Next, we'll go ahead and remove the hub bolts. They're going to be 4 bolts, 2 on each side. They're going to be 18 millimeter. And go ahead and you can turn it this way. It gives you better access and leverage. 18 millimeter. Got on my 1/2-inch ratchet. Brake is loose. Come back with my electric ratchet to get this job a little quicker. And turn the other way. Then we'll get the other side. may want a 1/2 inch with a pretty long bar. It does get not too tight, but got 4 hub bolts out. All right, we'll get this straight back up. Grab yourself a hammer. Go ahead and start hitting behind the hub. There we go. Usually Fords don't really have, or at least F-150s with the IWE don't really have an issue coming out because they have an O-ring on the hub that keeps all of your salt and rust out of the center of the knuckle and the hub, so it usually comes out pretty easy. All right, before reinstalling the new hub, what I like to do is kind of clean the face of the knuckle. You can use a sandpaper, Scotch-Brite, something along there, but you do want to be extra careful of not getting any debris inside the hub itself. It has gears in there, the IWE that engages with the hub. All those parts need to be lubricated, clean. What we can do is kind of use a rag. We'll kind of stuff that in there a little bit. And just try to keep your inside of there clean. And then use my die grinder here with a call it cookie brush, and then I'll go ahead and kind of clean all around there. I'll kind of point the direction of the tool to kind of point away the debris rather than pushing it in. Alright, that's all it takes. Go ahead and pull our rag back out here, and sometimes you'll get a little bit on the edges. Just wipe them out. And we'll go to the bench and compare the old and new part. Alright, we got the old here and the new, obviously. We'll compare it, make sure everything looks the same. And, sure does. Go ahead and make sure our wiring is correct. So, make sure the end connectors are correct, which does. Now, do you know about these subs being a little bit different? So you can tell the difference right out there. This is one connector clip on, call it the Christmas tree. Got one there, that's fine. But a couple zip ties shouldn't be an issue. Before installing the sub, get yourself some all-purpose grease. All we'll do is kind of lubricate these gears up a little bit. I got to go too crazy, just a little bit. I'll do just fine. And then there's going to be an O-ring right here, which I'll put a little bit on the side of the O-ring. Kind of keeps the O-ring lubricated while going in, so it doesn't fold. That should all it takes. We'll get the new hub on the knuckle. All right, we'll get the new knuckle in. Now we have the speed sensor pointing straight up. Now this part is going to be pretty important. You don't want to just run this thing in and you got to kind of line up the gears of the hub into the IWE. So you're going to have to kind of shimmy it a little bit and get it in and double check and make sure your O-ring isn't going to fold in. So you have to rotate the hub, and you're going to have to get your hand behind the CV axle. Just kind of work it up and down. You have to rotate it a couple times. that your hub is in, you should feel the engagement of the hub to the axle. I believe that's the farthest it will go. And then I'll get a close shot of the axle nut where it should be. And then to know that your axle is pushed in all the way, you should be able to see a little tapered end kind of protruding out of that front bearing just a little bit. So that just ensures you that you got your axle and the hub fully contacted with the gears and everything. All right, now we can go ahead and start running the hub bolts in. We'll have to kind of rotate it back just a little bit like this to get the other bolt in. We'll get it snug. A crisscross pattern. And we'll get it torqued down. All right, the hub bolts, it's an 18 millimeter again. We'll be torquing it to factory spec at 129 foot-pounds. Go ahead, I'm gonna be torquing this in a crisscross pattern. Rotate it. Rotate it again so we can get this other side. The last top one on this side. There we go. All right, we'll go ahead and reinstall our axle nut bolt. Now this is not a very big bolt and nut. It's going to be torqued to 30 foot-pounds. We'll go ahead and run it down. Then we'll grab our torque wrench here, get it set at 30 foot-pounds. This one is a 13 millimeter again. What you can do is, works for the same pulling it off if you don't have power tools. Get a screwdriver between your studs here. Keep it from rotating. And there we go. Next we'll get our dust shield on. We'll route this speed sensor wire above where it was. And that is the 8 millimeter. Remember, I did end up breaking one, but I think 2 would be just fine. And the next step, we'll go ahead and get our rotor and our caliper back on. Actually, let's go ahead and get this dust cover back on real quick before I forget. Just line it back up. Just lightly tap with the hammer. You don't want to hit it too hard or you end up just denting it. Get this caliper on. Snip our zip tie. All you gotta do is feed the caliper back onto the rotor. Grab your caliper bolts. Line everything back up. Rotate it this way. This is your 21 millimeter. Get the inside one, thread it back all the way. There we go. Snip. All right. Go ahead and torque these down to 184 foot-pounds. Need my deep socket for this one. Alright, caliper's torqued down. Turn it back this way. Get our brake line brackets back in. Get this 10 millimeter bolt back in. Next we'll get the wheel speed sensor bolt back in. That one was an 8. We'll feed this back in here. And then hook that up there. Run this wire back up into the engine bay. Now the factory hubs clips into here, but looks like we're the wire is in a little bit different position, so looks like there is an available one a little bit higher. We'll go with that one there. And then this one here looks like there's a little bit extra, but no biggie. We'll just grab a zip tie and we'll just zip tie it onto the brake hose here. Grab our side cuts and cut off the end. All right, last thing we gotta do is reconnect our wheel speed sensor. Reach down and grab our sensor wire here and try to get in there. All right, heard the click. We'll again push that rad tab back in. And that completes our install.
So if you are looking to replace some damaged stock wheel bearings, be sure to check out this affordable replacement today right here at AmericanTrucks.com.